a lot has been said about people having overestimated the size of different sectors in India. Should we pick a sector each and try to establish what the actual size is? Would you like to go first? You have a sector.
Yeah, so... No,
Why are you laughing?
No, because I've said so much about this. So.
His favorite pet peeve.
Okay, can I ask you guys a question? When he keeps VC bashing online...
I don't VC bash, dude. What do you say?
What do you guys think when you
Karthik,
read it?
do you think I VC bashed?
No, I like his thinking.
No, I think he's, he's overtly kind of being very myopic about a particular industry that he's involved with. And you know, if you look at broadly other sectors, right, the same thing does not apply in many areas. But
explain, like you guys should have an argument about this. So
no. So for example, I think let's take a consumer company. If you look at you know, the opportunity to build to me a 2,000 to 2,500 crore kind of revenue in a consumer business with a bit of somewhere in the 200-300 crore kind of range.
10%, yeah.
That's somewhere in that range.
Consumer company, give us 2-3 examples.
I mean,
it
could be something like a company like Bluestone, right? Which is in the jewelry business, or CaratLane, that or Lenskart,
Mamaearth,
right? Mamaearth, any of these, right?
Boat, Noise.
How do these companies get scale in India? They are mass market. Right, the consumers there in those, these companies have figured out in some way that their customers are not the 1% in urban India who are capable of doing these purchases, right? So they are, I would say, top 100 cities, right? And this I keep talking about to everybody. Very few countries globally can give you 100 cities with 1 million plus in population, all of them with a reasonable...
Only two, by the way, China and India.
But I'm saying, how big is that consumer market?
I think we arrived at the number. So 65% is consumption?
No, 65% of our GDP
is the consumption market. So it's about $1.7 trillion.
Yeah. 2 trillion.
Yeah, and in that, retail is about 700, 800 billion.
Let's just summarize all of that. 65% of GDP
is consumption. But in that consumption, part of it you're producing the goods and part of it you're retailing the goods, right? So you can almost equally break up between what goes into retailing it and what goes into the supply chain of producing it. So that's roughly about 800 crores. 800 billion.
So the second level nuance there is, I feel, if I may add to what Prashanth said, in India, discretionary versus sort of necessity-based consumption, I would index on necessary. That's what he meant by mass. And it's interesting that he actually broke that up into the manufacturing side and the thing, which is where I think someone like a Lenskart, by the way they've approached the business, very unconventional, nobody's done it before them, actually doubled its market opportunity. Because I actually feel that's the right way to tackle India.
And you're saying for something like that, the market is not the top 2, 3, 4, 5%.
No,
it's much wider.
And that aspirational class in India, I think is only going to, if we go from a 3 trillion to a 5 trillion.
Why? That trend seems to be holding true for everything. Like we were talking to the Bluestone guy, remember? Like when they were online, their sales were X. But when they realized they're doing a combination of online with offline, everything changed.
Trial, trust, access. So all of that gets built by offline.
But that pattern is not necessarily true in America, but it is in India. Why is that?
It is. Like Bobby Parker has stores now.
Businesses were built, just online itself in that market, consumer market was big enough that you can just build a large business. Like I said,
correct.
I came up with this 2,000 crore thing, right? But whatever the equivalent, like $300 million revenue in the US, you can build purely online.
So
but in India, it looks like you have to go also offline.
So what we're saying to our audience who's trying to start a business is the odds of you reaching scale are significantly higher if you combine an online and an offline component.
No, there's variants too. So what I'm trying to say is Purple is one of us. So they started as a marketplace, eventually realized that if they don't build margin by launching their own brands, It's not a great business.
Does Purple have offline like Nykaa does?
Not yet, but getting there.
So what I'm saying,
There
same
are
thing.
3-4 levers.
Same thing. So
You have
if
to manufacture your own stuff.
So,
Eventually.
okay. So for somebody building in consumption, having an online with the offline can have
Scale
exponential
effects.
scale benefit.
Yeah, I mean, you can start online, but basically, if you go back 3-4 years ago, you could get to a 300. Let's just talk about consumer product brands, okay? Because that's like the specific segment, right? You could get to about 300 crores online, and then you went offline. So Mamaearth, from launch to 1,000 crores took 5 years, and in 7 years it's 2,000 crores and profitable. Okay, so basically that's just in personal care and beauty. And then there are probably now over 10 examples of multi-thousand crore brands that have been built between 5 and 7 years, right? That was not possible. Now, 3 years ago, you could get to 300 crores online, and then you went offline. Today, that number is more like 50 to 100 crores for 2 reasons. One, online has gotten more expensive as more and more brands have come up online, so cost of acquisition is higher. And second, though, offline, much like Amazon, Flipkart, and Nykaa in beauty, democratized distribution online for e-commerce, for brands. We are now seeing the same kind of democratization of offline, right? Like offline retail distribution was the purview of HUL and Marico in food and P&G and so on and so forth, right? But thanks to some of the B2B platforms that are being built, for a new brand to get access to offline retail is not as hard as it used to be, right? So now what we're seeing is companies will get to 50 to 100 crores online only. They will launch their own website. They'll go on Amazon, Flipkart, depending if it's a beauty brand or Nykaa, etc. And then once in that 50 to 100 crores, they'll go offline. And what they're seeing offline is almost always it's more profitable because it is harder to do because you could also, you have to deal with inventory and so on and so forth. But that's the new model that we're saying. So you launch a brand, you go online first, get to 50 to 100 crores, somewhere in that zone, maybe 150 crores, you go offline, and then you scale both online and offline, and you get to 1,000, 2,000
So
crores.
digital first is still something I'd like to emphasize, right? Because, I don't think people, who's starting up new should lose that. Your ability to trial with customers, your ability to give them new behaviors that kind of help them change their consumer consumption habits.
In a way, are you saying you discover the brand always online?
Yeah.
That's right.
The execution and distribution could be a combination.
For scale.
Typically, it's online first, followed by offline.
By offline.
And when they come together, it scales exponentially faster.
But I think the most important thing, though, is more than omni-channel, which is online, offline, is called omni-channel. You have to have a unique insight about what customers want. Like you guys, both of you had this insight about trading because you were traders yourselves, right? So I think the most important thing if you're going to start up is you have to have a unique insight about what customers want. Could be consumers, could be businesses.
No, but there is a small extension so that we just complete this whole, since we picked up. I think Karthik started alluding to that, right? So I think where you can also kind of take this, the margin profile and your ability to make profits further is if you can get into your own manufacturing.
Yeah.
So you're saying marketplace, building a platform or a marketplace is not...
Not anymore. That's
not
gone.
anymore.
Maybe,
It's over.
maybe
I think it's over.
I do think vertical marketplaces, there's still potential.
But there also, Rajan, I think...
No, that's how Purple started, but you have to evolve.
In these vertical marketplaces today, you got to be a lot more focused on the value add.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I'm saying there was a time when
you have
could
to
just
have either
aggregate.
Is it
proprietary
also
product.
triggered by ONDC?
No, not really. I think it is just triggered by now this realization that just GMV does not work.
But wouldn't ONDC reduce the cost of getting distribution? Like if I were a Misho and I went to every mom and pop shop, got them on board my platform by spending that money, meeting them and doing it. If ONDC allows for that mom and pop shop to be discovered by you, who is also a platform, doesn't the USP in that go away organically?
See, ONDC as a platform, I think when you look at the sectors that have not been served, whether it's your like end kiranas, where today there is no legitimate way in which a kirana can be discovered, right?
ONDC and these Paytm, all these guys are discovering them very fast.
No. That's what I'm saying. So I'm coming there. So I'm saying if you're already on a Swiggy or a Zomato kind of platform as a restaurant, I think there will be a little bit of a time in my mind for somebody to find value in.
But even when they do,
yeah,
for the platform, having discovered them will get devalued because of ONDC. If not today, at some point in the future.
I mean, I do think over the next, maybe not in the near term, but over the medium term, ONDC will have a significant impact, but it's going to start with mobility. I think the most interesting example is Namayatri, right, which has now just crossed 80,000 rides a day, which is quite remarkable actually, right? So I do think mobility is going to get disrupted first, right? For different reasons. I mean, three-wheelers for different reasons, for two-wheelers and so on. I think after that might be food delivery.
and I think
Food is already happening. I'm using that app, Magic Pin. They charge 5%.
No, that's what I'm saying. And by the way, what will
versus
happen in
Swiggy.
food, I think, Prashanth, is the commissions.
But these guys, Magic Pin, which is the ONDC app, is also aggregating delivery agents. So that's what I'm saying. The effort put in by a Swiggy and Zomato to find a restaurant, get them tech-enabled, adopt them on their platform, they've done all that. But
So now
if the
they've digitally
restaurant tomorrow
enabled.
realizes that they can sell through another means at a fraction of the cost, my question was, is that why also you're saying the platform play is not the play in the near future?
There can only be like 2-3 winners in that space at most. I think it's a duopoly play, the way I see it usually. And even in the early days of marketplaces, we saw that devolve very quickly into duopoly. Becomes a deep-pocketed game, and all of us just show our cards eventually and surrender to the biggest player.
As investors, if you could put money today in Flipkart, Swiggy, Zomato, Meesho, would you? Nykaa, add all of them.
They're still dominant marketplaces.
Would you put money in them?
Depends on what price.
Today's price?
I'm not that. I wouldn't know. I don't know the numbers of them.
I think
I'll tell you the numbers. Nykaa, for example, 4,000 or 5,000 crores top line, 5% margin, slightly flattish to negative bottom line. Trading at 35,000, 40,000 crore market cap. The question is not fixated upon Nykaa, but the question is more you as savvy investors who are sounding increasingly critical about marketplace platform businesses.
Hey, no. I don't think we are critical about marketplace platforms.
You're saying the uniqueness has to be built in, and a platform by itself, by definition, is not unique.
Exactly. I think the value add on the platform,
That's right.
the bar for that has significantly increased.
But if you had to pick between a very binary myopic choice, if you had to pick between a company which is building a platform or a marketplace versus a company with backward integration where you're
Building their own brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think managed full stack marketplaces, I think are
But
the
that
ones
covers
that-
everything. See, I'm looking for somebody who's watching this to figure out where they should spend time, effort, and money. Building what?
So then you don't have to have a marketplace in many cases.
That number 65% consumption, 63%.
Yes.
Does it include export?
No, that does not.
That's
include-
domestic consumption.
That's domestic consumption. But in this new world order, right, where supply chains are for resilience, for whatever other reasons, are getting diversified, I think the next huge opportunity for Indian entrepreneurs is to take the export market from 700 or 800 billion that it is today to 1.5 trillion.
We've said 63% is consumption focused.
Yeah.
That does not include export. That 63% is about $1.7, $1.8 trillion.
Yes.
Outside of consumption, which we spoke so much about, what is the balance 37%?
Exports is a huge thing.
You can
Yeah,
take
so
the
actually, if you look at, so if you're an entrepreneur looking to start up, right, again, start with something you know something about, you have unique insights. But building for the world now is a very real thing, right? So if you look at new seed-funded startups in India in 2022 calendar, last year, and this is seed funding we've defined as between 5 crores and 40 crores raised per company, right? So companies that have raised between 5 crores and 40 crores, so between $500,000, so 4 crores, $500,000 to $5 million. We just call that seed, large seed round, somewhat average seed round. 40% of all Indian startups that raised seed funding last year, in that definition, were building for the world from day zero. Most of those were building software products, vertical SaaS, application SaaS, modern data stack, cybersecurity, infrastructure companies, increase. Now we're seeing a new crop of AI companies, right? So I think that is the first. So in many ways, right, if you look at export from a technology-enabled standpoint, the first big wave was IT services. That's now a $250 billion industry. Software products is the next big wave. And now we are going to see, coming after that would be the manufacturing wave. Consumer brands, right? So you're seeing toy brands. There's this company, we're not investors in it. It's called Ayurveda Experience in Delhi. They make Ayurveda products and sell them in the US. They don't even sell on any marketplace. It just costs $50 million of revenue.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Kamath. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. Comment, like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.